go to public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
I make a motion we go to public hearing with Chapter 92, Section 15 of the Code of Caroline governing bond requirements for private sewage disposal and contractor installation be repealed in its entirety.
Second. And can we also get that contractor in here so we can say hello to him?
It's been moved and properly second that we would go to public hearing with the proposed repeal of Chapter 92 of the Code of Caroline County Sewers. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously. All right. Update on status of school capital projects.
Good evening, Jim.
Good evening, sir.
Provided the handout there, and Mr. Fincham put the cover letter on it. We are pretty much in the same holding pattern we were.
We have a handout? I'm sorry. Do we have a handout?
Months ago.
Oh, okay.
I talked to OWPR and Dave Nunley, our E&S guy, and DEQ. We still have no DEQ permits, nor are they in any condition to be approved and issued a permit. You'll read in the letter that the signed and sealed documents that I need to issue the building permit are now supposed to be to me by the end of the week. Geotech, as far as the unsuitable fill over at Madison, they've done an update on that, so they're going to update that report. The comm checks for the energy efficiency that need to be signed and sealed are due in my office with the building plans by the end of the week, and there's really no date I can give you as far as when DEQ is going to issue a permit for the high school or Madison, because there's information that's calculations that are required for them to complete the review to then maybe issue a permit.
Okay. Mr. Whiteman.
Yes, sir.
And I guess you have to give me some leadway here. The board basically provides funding for this project. We decided that we were going to do that, and we provide the funding. So what do we need to do? I guess what is the course of action that this board should take at this time regarding that? And maybe Mr. Fincham needs to.
You all provide the funding. I don't think there's anything for the board to do at this point in time. This, you know, it's a permit review process. It's going through that process. It's probably taken a little bit longer than we had hoped. You know, Mr. Whiteman indicated we just got some comments from DEQ yesterday that were forwarded to us. There's still some outstanding questions or issues that need to be addressed. There's some calculations that need to be provided related to the discharge from the stormwater facilities. So those calculations have to be performed, submitted back to DEQ for DEQ to review. Mr. Whiteman's still waiting for his seal construction documents. And we need to go back to the Planning Commission to finish the plan review to address the concerns raised by the board and the commission related to the setback reduction that was granted by the special exception permit. Again, that's not an insurmountable issue. But until all the documents are finalized by the appropriate agencies, you know, that it's just going to take some more time to finish that up.
Okay.
There's really nothing for the board to do. This is simply an update to the board on where we're at in the process.
Okay, did you have...
I had placed this on the agenda just as an update so that the board would be aware of what we're dealing with in the planning department. And so to make sure that everybody's clear, if there was ever any fingers pointed, we're holding anything up. Okay, so that just, here's an update, here's where we are. documents are still needed in DEQ, there's calculations needed, there's various things needed. We're doing all we can to review everything in a timely manner and move the project forward. But it's basically an update, and it is a school project, so there is really nothing the board can do. And we weren't asking you to do anything, just an update.
And I guess my concern is when citizens come to us, and sometimes they don't always know the process, I guess, but, you know, when citizens come to us and say, we voted in November to provide funding for the refurbishing of the high school and Madison, what is the problem? Why are we not seeing any? My taxes went up 11 cents. I mean, that's the concern that I have. I mean, you know, and I know it's nothing we can do as a board of supervisors, but, you know, I just want people to know, basically, as you say, that it's not something the board has not done. It's not that we did not provide the funding. It's not that we didn't do what the citizens of this county said do. They said in their vote that we want to provide the funding for those schools, and we did that, but so far there's been very little change or improvement or any ways towards doing what we were told to do or what we said we were going to do.
Mr. Taylor, if I could add, the one thing we were really concerned about was change orders and going out to bid prior to having all the approved documents. And in the CIP meeting, the school board, actually Mac Wright, made the motion that we do not move forward with anything until we have all the permits in hand, which would then prevent the change orders that would affect the price. So talking with Mac and with OWPR and with Jeffrey Honan, we're all under the understanding that until we have them DEQ permits in hand, I have the signed sealed documents that I can approve, that it wouldn't go to bid. There was talk to go to bid earlier this month because DEQ had a warm fuzzy with it, but we have all said all the way along, until we have a permit in hand with an approved stormwater plan where there won't be change orders, then we weren't moving forward. And that could still be dependent on the review of DEQ and the submittal of the documents. To me, it could still be a while.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
I think Mr. Sealer had a question first, and then Mr. Thomas.
I just want to make sure that step by step, I got this right. You do not have a complete set of drawings for either building.
What I have is they submitted to me a set of drawings that are final, that I've reviewed, provided comments that have to be incorporated, and then the final sealed, stamped construction documents need to be submitted to me. Correct.
So you do not have a complete set of documents
Correct.
in your possession. They do not have an OWPR as the long pole in the tent for the stormwater management permits they need for both Madison and the high school.
That's correct.
And OWPR, the architect has to provide that.
They have done a second submittal, and DEQ has sent back requests for calculations to support their submittal. That's correct. And I think back when we started, when we said, hey, we're submitting it for DEQ to get the permit, and we had said the 60 days, if everyone remembers that, and then the second submittal would be 45. Well, the second submittal has taken place, and they have kicked it back requesting calculations to support their proposed stormwater plan.
So am I missing anything? Without those two things,
We should not go to bid.
we should not go.
Should not go to bid.
And according to the school board's own motion and approval,
Correct.
they can't go to bid until they have those.
Yeah, they voted until they had permits in hand to not go to bid.
We cannot issue a land disturbing permit until we have the evidence of the stormwater permit from DEQ.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
Can I just ask one question? I'm just kind of curious. I'm not trying to point any fingers, but how long should a project like this normally, I mean, with the scope of work that needs to be done, Just out of curiosity, if things run smoothly, how long, because you've got the experience, how long does something like this take?
Well, this has been longer, Mr. Black, and I'll tell you, but again, with us opting out of the stormwater regs, and then the submittals having to go to DEQ as of 1 July last year, this was a new animal. So the submittal to the state and the time back and the 60 days for the first submittal and then the 45 after that, nobody kind of really knew what DEQ was looking for or what the regs they were going to enforce and how they were going to enforce them. So we really can't say how long should this take, because this is kind of a total new submittal and a review process that's come along with the stormwater requirements of the state now.
So are we saying like if a school system is going to do a renovation on a school, it's going to be like a 3-4 year process?
No. Again, you would go with the planning, and I think DEQ, along with us, is learning in this process. They advertise the 60 days, first submittal, give you comments back. You fix those, you resubmit them. They say 45 days. So then theoretically, you should have if you've answered their questions, you should have a permit within them 45 days. So 60, 45, 100 days.
Let me ask you this question then. What would be, let's just try it this way, what would be the quickest amount of time? I'm not just saying Caroline, I'm just saying in general. What would be the quickest amount of time construction from the time, that you start the project till the time you're completed? What would be a reasonable amount of time to get a project?
Conceivably, best case, 60 days. Before you had permits in hand.
No,
construction finished.
Construction time.
Construction finished?
Yeah.
From the beginning of the process to the CO.
First shovel dig to last shovel dig.
Till we're opening it up.
Oh, see, there's so many variables involved. The contractor, the subcontractors, the...
Ballpark it. 18 months, 24 months.
16, 18 months. And the scope that we're doing. Depends on how big the addition alteration is.
But you should have had a complete signed and sealed set of plans months ago. I mean, it's been 18 months. You should have had plans, eons ago, correct? You don't even have those, and that's...
Finished documents, no, sir.
And that's without all the stormwater management stuff, just
Right.
Plain building plans. They do them every day, construction, signed, stamped, ready to go, should have been, how long ago? How many months are we past that?
Quite a few, but then again, the scope on both buildings has changed because of the bids that we've gotten back. The bids didn't fit the dollars, so there was redesigns. The gym got smaller. We cut off the addition to the back of the high school. We reconfigured the front. So the plans have evolved.
Mr. Chairman, can I?
Okay. You have a question, Mr. Stone?
I'm trying to find whatever good news there is here.
Yes, sir.
The good news for the county is that by insisting on the county staff serve as the clerk of the works, we've probably in this long delay saved $70, $80, $100,000 that would have been basically wasted from somebody sitting doing nothing.
That's correct.
Okay, so that was a good point to insist on that. Now, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to ask you, because I was unsuccessful, but maybe you can articulate the importance to the school board at your next 2-on-2. Maybe they would like to pass this project to the county, especially since the superintendent who has been so involved is leaving. We've got expertise who can do such a project. I don't really care who does it, who's right, who's wrong. I just want to get it done. Ask them one more time if they'd be willing to give us the project like King George did. We need to get it done. I don't care who gets the credit for it. Let's just get it done. So would you ask them at your next 2-on-2 if they'd be willing to do that? Because other people have done it. It's not a bad thing for them. Their job is to educate the kids. They normally do buildings, but we've got building expertise on the county side.
I have no problem if that's what the board wants to do. If the
Is that what the
board
rest of the
feels-
board would like to do, is ask
Yeah,
if the
that we
county
should
could take it over?
Go that route?
The rate we're going?
Well, I think another advantage, my understanding, reading the documents and talking to David Nunley, the DEQ submittal, we're 85, 95% close. There's some calcs that are due. But I think the advantage is we all said, hey, we're not going to bid this project until we have permits in hand. So I think getting the permits and the approval, you're going to get solid bids because there'll be very few change orders. So you're going to have a couple where you're tapping into old buildings. You don't know what you're going to find till you open them up. There'll be some change orders, but I don't think on a large scale because this is all being scrutinized pretty tight.
But you don't even have construction documents yet. I mean, you're not going to get construction documents for some time.
End of the week, I'm supposed to have the final sealed set, but that doesn't mean I haven't been reviewing them, getting comments, and working them. They've been providing input, but the final documents, no, sir.
As much as I trust you and believe you, I have heard I'm getting final documents for 3 months.
Okay. Well, the only thing I would caution us, if we say now as a board that we want the county to take over this process, are we then not starting the entire process over again?
No.
I mean, and I don't know, I'm asking. I mean, because their architects, do their architects?
He's going to stay. He's going to stay. The key point is with the superintendent leaving and a new superintendent coming in, who knows what change there's going to be. And right, and regardless of anybody else, we think Mr. Fincham and Mr. Whiteman, Mr. Nunley are going to be here for a while.
And I believe it. And I have no problem with you all, with you doing it if this is what the board wants. The only other thing I would say is, how does that impact you in your normal, obviously you have normal jobs that you do for the county, are you going to, deviate from what you do to work on this? How does that impact you?
Definitely be an additional duty, sir.
So again, but I'm open to what the board. I take my direction from this board. You want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Well, we're just requesting, but I will make a motion that we give the chair authority to request one more time from the school board to pass the responsibility of this project to the county government, who will have Mr. Whiteman and Mr. Fincham monitor it extensively.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved properly second that I would request from the school board to allow the county to proceed with whatever is necessary to get the necessary documents to get the construction on the way.
Mr. Fincham wanting to say something? Can we just not hear what he has to say before?
Okay, well, it's just motion and second. We can question. I mean, if you want to talk. He just asked who second.
Mr. Underwood.
Mr. Underwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what Mr. Fincham says.
Mr. Chairman, just a couple points. By the March 14th meeting, hopefully the revised calculations will have been submitted to DEQ and we will have an update from DEQ.
Mr. Fincham, it's March 24th today.
April 14th, I'm sorry.
April.
Okay. It's at space-time warp.
So are you saying that maybe we should wait until then for this motion, or? I mean, what do you say?
Yeah. My second point is, if you remember, the board has already provided assistance to the school system in the form of the clerk of the works from the building inspector's office. So we're already going to have a presence on site, going over the construction plans, looking at change orders, et cetera, who's already going to be coordinating with our office.
Okay, so is the motion not needed?
I think that communication is already going to be there between our clerk of the works and our department. If there's an issue, we're going to know about it sooner rather than later.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Nobody said nay? Okay, that takes us to informational calendar items.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, you'll see that you've got your Fred ridership report in there, and as you mentioned earlier, the 26th, we have 3 meetings in different areas of the county. The 30th, you have yours in Port Royal. Moving into April, on Thursday the 2nd, at the regular town council meeting, I think they've rescheduled a reception for Herb Collins that was snowed and iced out in February or early March. I can't remember now. Don't forget, we're going to recess this meeting to 5 p.m. on the 14th of April. And then on the 18th of April at 2 o'clock, we have the Benzer courtroom dedication. So those things are moving forward. And I think that gets us through the calendar to May right at this moment.
Okay,
We need, I make a motion to adjourn, recess.
but we got closing board comments.
Oh, okay, you're right.
Okay, closing board comments?
Now,
Mr. Thomas?
Mr. Cully, can you just email me the documents you passed out, the paper documents you passed out? Can you email them to me? Thank you.
Mr. Black?
Not at this time.
Mr. Underwood?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Akers?
No, sir?
Mr. Seeley?
No, sir, Mr.
And I
Chairman.
have none as well. A motion for adjournment?
No, for recess.
Oh, a motion for
To the
recess?
14th at 5 o'clock in the EOC room.
Is there a second? Is there a second? A motion for recess to April 14th?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we recess to April 14th at 5 o'clock. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?